Good morning. Thanks for being here. I'm Stephen Romo in for Savannah Sellers.
And I'm Joe Fryer. We begin this morning with limbo in Washington as we inch closer to a potential government shutdown with little progress being made on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, the government will shut down at 12:01 a.m. Sunday if they don't reach a deal, something that looks increasingly likely. There is a procedural vote expected in the Senate today to move forward on a temporary government funding bill that would postpone a shutdown until November, but the outlook for that is not great. The bipartisan measure has been criticized by House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who is having a lot of trouble with his own party on reaching a deal. He, however, is blaming Democrats and President Biden for a lack of a resolution. President Biden saying he doesn't believe a shutdown is inevitable. McCarthy saying House Republicans are still working on it.
The House is working on passing 73% of all the appropriation bills of the job we're supposed to do by Thursday. We're bringing up on Friday ability to fund the government, but at the same time secure our border. So yes, we're doing our job.
NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin joins us now with the latest on this. Julie, good morning to you. So break it down for us. What kind of movement can we expect to see today in the Senate regarding this stopgap bill trying to make its way through that chamber? Outlook not so good.
Yeah, not so good, guys. We're just days away. Look, the clock is ticking. And even if the Senate manages to get this CR, this short-term government funding bill, which we believe they will, through the Senate, you heard from McCarthy there, he's probably not going to put it on the floor. He wants his own bill, a conservative measure that has border security provisions attached to it, to ride through the House. The problem is, I talked to multiple members last night. It's still not clear if he has the votes for even that bill. So McCarthy right now still contending with members of his own party to get anything through to them. Of course, then it has to go over to the Democrat-controlled Senate and vice versa before anything can be signed by President Biden. So for our viewers watching this at home, both chambers are still having trouble passing their individual bills. Ultimately, this will need to come to a resolution that could pass both chambers, but we're still quite far from that.
So, Julie, we know House Speaker McCarthy suggested a meeting with President Biden would be important. The White House rejected that idea, saying the issue is really up to Republicans to fix. So what are the biggest challenges McCarthy's facing right now in the House?
Yeah, look, President Biden has made it clear he's probably not going to sit down with the speaker. He met with him and his team back during those debt ceiling negotiations at the end of May. This is really something that Biden is saying is McCarthy's problem. It's his problem with his members and his conference to figure out. McCarthy touched on this yesterday. Take a listen to what he said, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Has the Senate passed an FAA bill? No, they have not. When we look at a challenge on the border, have they passed any bill themselves? They're a different body on something to deal with the border, even though the leader from the Senate comes from New York and his governor and mayor are crying for something to be done. No, they've done nothing on it, because had they passed a bill, the House has passed a bill, we could go to conference and solve that.
So there's no time to go to conference between both sides, right? We heard this time and time again. McCarthy wants basically the Senate and the House to get together and to talk about these individual bills that they passed. We have just days left. And on the border security issue, that's something you hear from Republicans a lot. I talked to a top House Democrat yesterday who told me that what Republicans want to attach in terms of border security is, quote, not real border security. And the White House is also making the argument that if a shutdown happens, Border Patrol agents could go unpaid. And what Republicans are planning to do does cut some of the budget that the Department of Homeland Security would have to operate. So really a stalemate here, an impasse on both sides. But ultimately, McCarthy's going to have to show that he can get something passed with just his members.
And Julie, let's talk about the perspective of Americans who will be affected by this potential shutdown. Who's winning the PR battle here? Who do you think will take the blame if this happens?
Well, historically, guys, Republicans do fall for the blame when a shutdown happens. The last shutdown, you'll remember, lasted more than a month under the former president. In 2019, there was a new poll that came out. You see it on your screen where voters are kind of split. They are blaming Biden and Democrats in Congress for this as well, because ultimately Democrats drew control of the White House and the upper chamber of the Senate. But look, this would really be devastating for millions of Americans. You showed a graphic earlier when we were talking here. I mean, millions of Americans will go without paychecks. Million more of low-income Americans won't have food stamps, won't have critical child care programs. And look, we have a lot of authorizations that are up at the month, too, like the FAA, for example, various child care tax credits, some COVID relief measures that were put in place. So a lot on the line here and not a lot of time to fix it.
Certainly that clock is ticking down. Julie, we have more congressional news to talk about, though, so stick with us just a minute.
Yeah, this morning, while a possible government shutdown looms over Capitol Hill, House Republicans are holding their first hearing into whether to impeach President Biden.
Yeah, Democrats have been asking for evidence of President Biden's potential wrongdoing. Republicans say that's the purpose of this hearing. They're going to present evidence, they say, from their months-long investigations into whether Biden was involved in or personally profited from his family's foreign business dealings. They also investigated whether he improperly influenced policy when he served as vice president. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says Republicans, quote, uncovered an overwhelming amount of evidence showing that President Joe Biden abused his public office for his family's financial gain. But so far, there's been no direct evidence to prove those allegations. And the White House insists Biden has done nothing wrong. They're calling today's hearing a political stunt.
So let's bring back Julie Sirkin along with NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos here to weigh in on all this. Julie, what are we watching for today in this hearing?
Well, look, I'm personally watching for Republicans to make the case, make the connection that they've been talking about over and over again between Hunter Biden, the president's son, and the president himself. Because remember, the president's the one that they are opening this impeachment inquiry to. So far, they have been unable to prove this connection between his son's business dealings and the president's influence, if he had any over those. But they did release this 30-page memo late last night. They sent it, I'm told, to all members on the committee as well, outlining their goal for today. And they make it very clear this is coming from Republicans. They open this impeachment inquiry, but it doesn't mean that they're going to pursue a formal impeachment until they are ready to lay out this evidence, which they say they have an overwhelming amount of, enough to potentially fill 7 hours today, with 50 members on these committees set to question 4 witnesses, 3 from the Republican side, 1 from the Democrat side. But ultimately, even though they've led this investigation for 7 months, as we've heard from the top Democrat on the Oversight Committee, James Raskin, say, they haven't been able to put proof in the pudding, right? They haven't been able to connect all of these dots that they've been laying out. But we'll see if they can try to make the case today. Overall, though, I'm expecting just evidence to be laid out, much of which we already know.
And potentially filling 7 hours, Danny. Let's get to you on this. We've heard about these allegations for such a long time now. What do we know about the evidence Republicans say they have or they claim to have here?
2 main categories: foreign business dealings and Hunter Biden tax cases. And of course, with both categories, Hunter Biden features prominently. Certainly, there's a strong case to be made for impeachment of Hunter Biden, but Hunter Biden is not the president, nor was he the vice president. So plenty of evidence to be concerned about Hunter Biden. The foreign business dealings, you're going to see likely evidence of transactions with Kazakhstan, China, even Ukraine, of course, Russia as well. But the key is this. Irrespective of these financial transactions, these business dealings, the key is a nexus between those dealings and some benefit to President Biden, to Joe Biden. That is the key. And I think the Republicans are going to need a lot more than evidence that maybe Joe Biden was on a phone call or that he stopped by lunch to say hi to some of Hunter Biden's business associates. They may have evidence of that, but for corruption purposes, they're going to need more. On the tax side, it's whether or not Hunter Biden, did he receive favorable treatment? We may or may not see evidence of that during the 7 hours today. Did the government, the U.S. government under Joe Biden, give preferential treatment to Hunter Biden? Kind of a hard case to make now because Hunter Biden is now under indictment, but that we may see given some of the hearings of some former tax investigators in the last few months. But most likely, the big case Republicans want to make is foreign business dealings, and they're going to try to tie some benefit that leads to Joe Biden, the then vice president, current president.
So, Julie, politically, what are the implications for President Biden and his reelection campaign?
Well, look, this is effectively counter-programming that Speaker McCarthy has set up, right? It's to counter these Trump indictments, to counter all of these things that are coming down the pike for the former president as they look to protect him here, and certainly ahead of this shutdown as well. But for the president himself, his son, as Danny laid out, is facing an indictment now by the Justice Department. Republicans on the committee would argue that this is thanks to them, thanks to the evidence that they were able to lay out, although they are not satisfied with the prosecutor, the special counsel who has been appointed to look into that matter. But this certainly doesn't bode well politically for the president, because this keeps us on the minds of Americans foreseeing this happen with the former president and everything that Biden was able to point out there. And it's happening to Biden now, in effect, right? It is certainly the Republicans have not been able to prove this connection, but it is in the news cycle. We're talking about it. We're going to take this hearing today. And Biden wants to talk about his economic message, the progress he was able to make, the legislation he was able to pass, which, as our White House team has reported and noted, is not resonating as much as he wants to with voters.
And Danny, to Julie's point, we've seen several impeachment inquiries over the past several years. So how long is this expected to take, and what's next for Republicans if they go down this road further?
Even though impeachment cosmetically looks like a criminal prosecution and a criminal investigation, we need to stop thinking of it that way, because in many ways it is exactly the opposite. For example, if you want to indict someone, you have to go to a grand jury and show them evidence to at least probable cause to secure that indictment. Here, none of those rules are required. Even this inquiry is not required. The House could immediately proceed to impeachment proceedings if they have the votes, because that's really what impeachment is. It's not a criminal proceeding. It's basically a debate in Congress, one that happens to be identified in the Constitution. But all it is a head count. Do we have enough for this vote? Do we have enough for this vote if it gets to the Senate? That is it. So procedurally, this can last as long as they want it to, or not at all.
Danny, thank you so much. Julie, we are setting you free. You do not have to stick around for yet another segment.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Last night in California, 7 Republican candidates locked horns in another fiery GOP primary debate moderated by Fox Business. The rivals clashed over a variety of topics, including China, immigration, and the economy.
But the chaotic, often raucous event was marked by the absence of Donald Trump. The former president and current GOP frontrunner decided to visit Detroit instead. That move was criticized by some of the candidates last night.
Donald Trump is missing in action. He should be on this stage tonight. He owes it to you to defend his record, where they added $7.8 trillion to the debt. That set the stage for the inflation that we have.
His last debate, he said we were all bought and paid for. And I thought about that for a little while and said, you know, I can't imagine how you could say that knowing that you were just in business with the Chinese Communist Party and the same people that funded Hunter Biden millions of dollars was a partner of yours as well. It's not nonsense.
When every other CEO expanded into the Chinese market, you know what I did with my first company? We opened a subsidiary in China. But you know what I did that was different than every other company? We got the hell out of there. And when I started my next company, Strive.
Donald, I know you're watching. You can't help yourself. I know you're watching. You're afraid of being on this stage and defending your record. You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
Joe Biden doesn't belong on a picket line. He belongs on the unemployment line.
Secondly, on the curtains, do your homework, Tim, because Obama bought those curtains.
Did you send them back?
It's in the press.
Did you send them back?
It's the State Department.
Did you send them back?
Did you send them back? You're the one that works in Congress.
Oh my gosh.
You get it
You
done.
hung them on your curtains.
They were there before I even showed up at the residence. You are scrapping. You are scrapping.
I'm not scrapping.
You know I fought.
Fiery over curtains. Who would have predicted that? Well, joining us now for more on this, NBC News correspondent Maura Barrett and our senior national politics reporter John Allen. Good morning to both of you. Maura, let's start with you. As we just heard, there was plenty of arguing, a lot of talking over each other. What are some of the key takeaways from the debate? Did anyone manage to stand out from the pack?
Yeah, good morning. A lot of interruption, a lot of confusion on the stage last night. And it's tough to say whether or not there was really a standout candidate. It's probably better contextualized by some standout moments from several candidates, one of which, Tim Scott, there we saw a more outspoken candidate in him because he really needed to push forward. His campaign had telegraphed that prior to the debate. We also saw those moments from Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, Haley's campaign prior to the debate had told me that they expected her to be a target of attacks on stage, seeing that she had seen some big spikes in polling prior to the debate, but she was actually more on the offense, doling out the most attacks on stage last night, according to NBC News analysis. And Vivek Ramaswamy was actually on the receiving end of more of those attacks, a lot of those exchanges like you just saw around his relationship with China. Now, as for the presumed second place candidate, Ron DeSantis, we saw those polls slip in his name following the last debate, and he didn't really have anything that that really stood out last night separately. And so it remains to be seen if that'll be the case after this debate as well. Now, of course, obviously, the whole Donald Trump of it all looming as he was not on stage, but still racing ahead in the polls. This debate did give the candidates another chance before this next fundraising deadline to potentially get more donor support and be able to get some more longevity in the race ahead as they continue to go up against Donald Trump. But that remains to be seen in these next couple of days to see what that support looks like, guys.
So, John, if there was anything memorable from Governor DeSantis, is that he did take aim at Trump for missing the debate again. So did Chris Christie. That was less of a surprise. Beyond that, not much criticism directed at the former president. So is that going to have even an inch of impact on GOP voters? And do you think that Trump could show up for the next one, which is just over a month away?
I talked to a Republican strategist last night, Matthew Bartlett out of New Hampshire, who said that these attacks were like attacking the sun with water guns, that Christie and DeSantis were likely to have little effect on Trump at all, little effect on voters with what they said. Trump is definitely in a position right now where he doesn't want to debate. I think, until further notice, you can expect that he's not going to debate. Right now, you showed those polling figures. He's at 59% in the Republican primary, according to the NBC News polling. DeSantis is at 16%. Everybody else is below that. I don't think there's a political advisor in the country that would tell their candidate that in that circumstance that they should get on a debate stage.
And, John, speaking of Nikki Haley, as Maura was saying, she went on the offense last night. She got a lot of attention from the first debate performance. And last night we saw her clash with Tim Scott and Vivek Ramaswamy. She's coming in third in that latest NBC News poll. But after last night, DeSantis, should he be looking over his shoulder?
In one word, yes. But that's not the only thing that Maura said that was really insightful. She made a lot of good points a moment ago. I think if you're Ron DeSantis, you got to be looking over your shoulder at everybody. Mostly if you're DeSantis, you have to be worried that your donors, that your supporters are going to dry up or that some of them are going to go to another candidate. DeSantis has long been running in second place, but his trajectory has been almost entirely downhill for the last 6 or 7 months. And you've got a situation where Nikki Haley is one of the few candidates who's shown any sort of movement upward. Since that last debate, you've seen her poll numbers at the national level go up. More importantly, you've seen her numbers go up within the states. So the early states of Iowa and New Hampshire and her own home state of South Carolina. This is a candidate who definitely was on the move before this debate. And I don't think she did anything last night that will arrest that upward movement.
So, Maura, where does this leave the GOP field? Could we see any dropouts, or does it seem like everyone here is going to hang on till at least Iowa?
Well, as for now, the campaigns are pushing ahead. Several candidates like Ramaswamy and Haley already planning visits to early states in the next couple of days. But I think what we're going to have to watch over the next month before the next debate is the increased qualifying threshold to get on that debate stage. It was a struggle for North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum to even make the stage last night. Didn't really stand out, and he'll really have to push ahead to make sure he can qualify again. I actually spoke with Ramaswamy ahead of the debate yesterday, and he basically hedged his bet saying, if the voters don't align with me, if they choose to pick somebody else, I'm okay with that. But he didn't give any sort of timeline. And so campaigns right now are projecting that optimism as they get back out on the campaign trail, looking for any potential spikes in polling and fundraising numbers. But again, they have a little bit of time ahead of that next November 8th debate, guys.
All right, Maura, John, thank you both so much.
An American soldier who fled into North Korea is now back in the United States. Private First Class Travis King landed early this morning after being expelled by North Korea. He dashed across the border into North Korea back in July. NBC News foreign correspondent Janice Mackey-Frayer has the latest.
Travis King is finally home, touching down on American soil after a secretive exit from North Korea. 71 days after the Army Private Second Class made that willing bolt across the border, he was escorted into China, where U.S. officials were waiting, taken into U.S. military custody, from all accounts in good health. U.S. officials say no concessions were made to North Korea, nor did North Korea ask for anything in return for Private King's release, despite ongoing U.S. sanctions and threats over the country's weapons program. Instead, North Korea took it as a case of illegal immigration, releasing a statement through KCNA saying that officials had decided to expel Travis King. Now, to get him out, Private King, who's 23, had to be retrieved by the government of Sweden, which keeps an embassy in Pyongyang, and then was shepherded across a bridge by car into China, a rare show of cooperation between the U.S. in Beijing at North Korea's request. A spokesperson here today confirming, quote, China provided the necessary assistance from a humanitarian perspective. From China, Private King was then flown to a U.S. base in South Korea. That's where he called his mother. And he will now be at the Brooke Army Medical Center for what's called post-isolation support. Travis King could still face disciplinary action in the U.S. for being absent without leave. There will also be a slew of questions about what happened in North Korea and what compelled him to do what he did. But for now, U.S. officials say that they are focused on Travis King's health and reuniting him with his family.
All right, Janice Mackey-Frayer, thank you so much.
New Jersey Democratic Senator Bob Menendez is expected to address Senate Democrats at their party's lunch today. This comes one day after he and his wife pleaded not guilty in connection with federal bribery charges. They were arraigned yesterday in a Manhattan courtroom. NBC's Jonathan Dienst has the latest on the case and the calls for the senator to step down.
We have a few words with you. Holding hands with his wife Nadine, New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez left federal court to a crush of cameras and a handful of protesters. Earlier, Menendez, his wife, and two businessmen pleaded not guilty to charges they took part in a wide-ranging bribery scheme. The FBI says Senator Menendez and his wife got these gold bars, piles of cash, and a Mercedes in exchange for government favors. The senator released on a $100,000 bail, his wife on $250,000. Sources familiar with the matter say the FBI is investigating if Egyptian intelligence services played any role in the alleged bribe scheme in an effort to get non-public U.S. government information from Menendez, then chair of the Foreign Relations Committee. Meanwhile, President Biden still silent on the Menendez case, while the number 2 Democrat in the Senate, Dick Durbin, added his name to the growing list of Democrats calling for Menendez to resign. Top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer criticizing Menendez, but not calling on him to step down.
For senators, there's a much, much higher standard. And clearly, when you read the indictment, Senator Menendez fell way, way below that standard.
Our thanks to Jonathan Dienst for that report. More than half the Senate Democratic caucus has now called for Menendez to resign.
In Baltimore, police are confirming an arrest in the murder of 26-year-old tech entrepreneur Pavel Lepere. Police say they will hold a news conference at 11 a.m. Eastern time to announce the arrest of 32-year-old Jason Billingsley. Police found Lepere's body at an apartment late Monday morning with apparent blunt force trauma. Police and the U.S. Marshals Service immediately launched a manhunt for Billingsley, and a first-degree murder warrant was issued for his arrest. Authorities say Billingsley was also wanted in connection with an unrelated attempted murder and rape earlier this month.
All right, switching gears to weather now. You probably want to keep those umbrellas handy if you're in the East Coast.
Yeah, meteorologist Angie Lassman is here with more umbrella news. Angie.
I'm sorry. I know it's not what you want to hear, but we're still going to have mainly a dry day in places like New York City today. It'll start to be a little soggier here as we get to the end of our day. So into the evening hours and definitely into the overnight and into tomorrow. So here's the deal. Here's what's going on. We have some thunderstorms that we're tracking leading to some flooding concerns across parts of the Midwest. So heads up about that. We're still dealing with kind of unsettled weather across Florida, but now we're going to watch this low pressure kind of form off the southeast coast and leave us with some showers and some breezy conditions up and down, really from the mid-Atlantic to parts of New England. So here's the deal as we get into tomorrow. This is 8 p.m. Friday. You can see some of these spots are going to be heavy rain. So we're talking high rainfall rates. Once again, we know how saturated our grounds are in a lot of these spots. So we'll likely see the potential for some flooding as well. The good news is we're going to start to see this pull away by the time we get into the later parts of Saturday. We're still going to be quite soggy for Saturday too. Sunday will be a great day in that region. So you'll still have some time this weekend to get those outdoor plans in, and the temperatures look great in some spots too. Here's those rainfall totals by the time we get into Saturday. You can see some really impressive amounts, up to 5 inches possible in some spots, but likely widespread numbers are going to be closer to 1 to 2 inches. But again, we've already had plenty of rain over the past couple of weeks, so it wouldn't be surprising if we see some of these flood watches going up in some of these spots. These are the areas with the greatest concern for flash flooding. So heads up, places like Montauk, New York, Monroe, Atlantic City, all on the table for you as we get through at least tomorrow. Now, we're going to see some strong onshore winds too, and we've got a full moon, so no surprise if we see some minor to moderate coastal flooding. Notice how many people are influenced by this. 15 million people under these alerts at this time, so heads up about that. Now, out with the bad news. Let's talk about the good news, because we've got a harvest supermoon that happens tonight. Here's what you're going to want to do. You look to the east, and just about 2 hours after sunset, we'll have a pretty good kind of start to our overnight hours and into the early morning where you can catch this. You're also going to be able to see Jupiter and Saturn. East, southeast, there's the moon. It's going to be full, and this is actually our last supermoon of 2023. So this is the last of the 4 that we've seen. Typical year has about 3 to 4, so right on par for that. But if you want to catch one in 2023, tonight is going to be the night that you want to do that. And just a reminder, that happens when the moon is in the closest orbit when it is full. So it's going to be great in some spots, right? Let's talk about those spots that it's going to be great, actually. Middle of the country, really starry night. You've got mostly clear skies expected. Super viewing out towards the southwest. The spots that are going to be a little iffy, parts of the Midwest, you'll see some stormy conditions up into portions of the northern plains. Out into the Pacific Northwest, too, you're going to deal with those clouds and rain. And unfortunately, for parts of the Northeast, we'll have to deal with some clouds. And I told you that rain is going to be working in right around that time, so not great. But if you're in the middle of the country, right around 6 a.m. sunrise, you're going to have the best time to see that. So just a heads up there.
All right.
You see how I ended on a positive note for you guys? I don't want you to throw tomatoes at me. Umbrella news.
You're going to need to remove the umbrella to see the moon. So there you go.
You brought it right back to the umbrella.
Exactly. You did. I knew it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.